So guys, welcome back to another project video. Me and Keith, we're going to be telling you the differences between P38 2.5 diesel and a 4.6 litre V8 petrol. And obviously they did two reiterations of the V8 petrol, 4 litre and 4.6, and they also changed the plenum and the engine management unit, and they did what they call the 4 litre 4.6 with the gems with a different plenum, and then they changed over to a BMW design plenum with the Bosch system, engine management system, and then obviously on this did a very similar thing. This is a very early P38 2.5 turbo diesel, so it's got no airflow meter, no EGR valve, and this was very similar. Obviously manual pump, then they went on to electronic, and then what they then did was they changed it to airflow meter and EGR. Power was very similar. On the gems versus Thor, they had less power on the gems but more torque. So we're going to be taking you around these two today. We own both examples. Obviously this is a 2.5 DT, so this is the most basic model you can buy. Yeah, it's entry level on the engine wise as well as the interior, and that is the M51 BMW engine. Lovely lump, very reliable, and sadly they didn't come with a massive amount of power from factory, did the Keith?
No, correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, but I think it was 134 horsepower
and 200 pounds-foot of torque, I think it was. So it was relatively slow. I think Harry from Harry's Garage describes this as a slug, which he's not wrong, is he?
No.
He's not wrong. And like I said, this is the most basic iteration, and I have to say, for MPG wise, this is actually quite decent on MPG, isn't it? We regularly see 30 MPG out of this, don't we?
Yeah, very regularly, which I was surprised. There is quite a few things you can do with this type of engine, modifications wise, just to squeeze a few more ponies out of it. You can do modifications to the fuel pump. Instead of a 0.9 jet, it's a 1.1, the jet inside the fuel pump itself, and that gives it more torque, but you might get a bit more smoke, but you can't have everything. Another thing is a common upgrade that people do is take that turbo off and put an M57 vacuum turbo, no electronic one. Apparently that goes pretty much straight on with very little modifications. Again, that increases the horsepower quite a bit actually. Or if you want to be a bit more drastic, just put an M57 engine in its place.
Yeah, which on a P38 I'm pretty sure it's a little bit more complicated than the P38 with the BCM and stuff like that, but there is a kit out there where you get the ECU and stuff like that, so you can maybe take out the security information on the BCM. Again, we don't really know on that, but there's a couple of people have done M57 conversions and they go very well. So yeah, so diesel wise, this is an automatic, so this is the 4-speed auto, and I'll just show you this here in the interior. Lovely. This is called a teddy bear interior, which is like a towel dry interior. And as you can see, very basic. You'll see the 4.6 later on. We still have a little bit of wood here, so you get a bit of wood here and you get a bit of wood down there, a little bit on there, but the doors,
manual climate
DT, you don't get any wood, and these aren't leather clad, they've got the towel dry, and manual seats. That's manual that way and that way, and you get a manual climate control like he's just said there, which is pretty epic. No aircon in this. A lot of people, when I've recently had this car for sale, have asked about air conditioning, and I said, again, you have a sunroof, you have a window, best air conditioner in the world. And yeah, so this is I suppose this is a bit of a dual video, isn't it? Because we're talking about specifications here,
Yeah.
as well as the difference between the 2.5 and the 4.6. Bit of a rudimentary engine, but it's still quite refined, because obviously engines of this sort of time, if you remember, you have the 300 Ti, which is very, very agricultural, very, very tractor sounding. Like, this is actually a really, really, really nice sounding 6-cylinder engine. Reminds me very much of the Land Cruiser. So we'll just give it a couple of cycles of heat. Again, old turbo diesel, so always try and give it a couple of cycles of heat. It's a hot day today, one of the hottest of the year, so it should just start up on the button like it has. And like I said, that is quite a fairly, you know, it sounds a little bit agricultural, but it's fairly refined compared to a 300 TDI. That's obviously the air suspension pump, because again, this is on air suspension, very much like the P38 4.6. These cars are both on air suspension. Both cars are slightly modified, so we've changed the wheel and tyre setup. Obviously that one's got the Fender L663 steel wheel conversion, and this has a proper modular wheel, 16s, which goes really well with the Altai silver paintwork with the arches. But yeah, drivability. What's your view on the drivability on this, Keith?
For some reason, the drivability, I prefer the 2.5. I don't know why. Probably it's just the sound. I don't know why. I think it's just the sound. And if you're using it every day, it's more practical, i.e. on miles per gallon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very easy to work on because it's not a V8, it's a straight 6, so the access is pretty good either side of the engine. And you know, I think the DT for me is the perfect entry-level P38 if you want to get into that sort of scene.
Yeah, because obviously what happens is we have all of the creature comforts of a P38, and on a hot day like today, I'm guessing that's very sticky to be in that, with this leather interior. This was very hot because I don't have aircon, but again I've got a sunroof and windows, but the interior was actually quite nice and cool because it was the towel dry teddy bear interior.
And this weather, you wouldn't like to wear shorts.
Well, yes, exactly. Not shorts on that. So that's the main difference there on a 2.5. Let's have a little look over to the 4.6. Obviously this is a 4.6 litre, 16 valve, I believe these are.
No, yes.
Yeah, 16 valve, yeah. And this is 200 and I think it's 218 horsepower, 300 foot-pounds of torque. This is a Gems. This is a Bosch Thor. So you have the banana plan, they call it. And one thing that I have to say on both of these cars, when you want to start replacing stuff like crankshaft sensors and so on and so forth, you have to use genuine Bosch items. If you use anything else, it is just not going to work. The Chinese stuff just simply doesn't work. And MPG wise, what are you getting out of this now at the moment, Keith?
16 on average.
16 on average. And fuel, what fuel are you putting in?
I'm putting the good stuff in.
Yeah.
So, like an SO, Supreme.
Yeah. So 97 or above.
Yeah, 97 or above, pretty much.
Obviously these came out before ethanol was in the UK. I think these actually came out before the ethanol in the US as well. But obviously these are actually a very old engine, because these were a 1960s Buick engine. That's what they were sort of based upon. And this engine was made up until 2004, I believe. For the Discovery 2, I believe, was the last reiteration of the engine. So yeah, so torque wise, Keith, we're going to talk about drivability in this one.
So the drivability in this one is effortless power, really, compared to the DT. The DT, if you leave a roundabout and all of a sudden you've got a car on top of you pretty much. With the 4.6, you've got the power to get you out of trouble. Yeah, you got the torque there. You've got the torque, exactly. The DT, you've got to plan more ahead. Yeah. What you're actually thinking about doing, sort of thing. Overtaking, I wouldn't even bother, because people normally overtake you.
Yeah. A wildlife usually overtakes you in that, but do you know what it is? The reliability of that car is just, and the simplicity of it is why I really love it. And if sadly I've got 16 cars in the collection, I can't keep them all, otherwise I would be definitely keeping that one. And I'll probably be keeping that one as well.
I mean, basically I had the choice of 2 cars to take up my dad, which he lives in Scotland.
Yeah.
And I went for the DT.
Yeah.
On the basis, I don't know, I just felt like I had to take the DT.
Yeah.
But I didn't regret it, and I didn't even miss a beat. You know, I'd nearly done 400 miles that day, and it just asked for more, and it was a really nice drive. I'm planning to go down to London in this in the near future, which is 200 miles a week, like each way.
Yeah.
Plus driving around Canterbury and stuff.
So you're
like
going to be
that.
having a full tank and maybe a little bit more.
Oh, probably 2 if.
Yeah, 2 full tanks maybe.
But saying that, I think it will be lovely to drive, because the cruise control.
Yeah.
Again, on the 4.6, it's got cruise control as standard. On the DT,
Yeah.
you don't have cruise control.
No, there's no cruise control on that, because it's a very rudimentary. They did do the DHSE, which has cruise control, which is basically the same specification as a 4.6 HSE, and obviously DHSE stands for Diesel High Specification Edition, and you can get a very similar trim in the 2.5 package, but yeah,
and also if you're planning to use something over the winter, and you've got short journeys, I wouldn't use the 2.5, because it doesn't get hot, it doesn't get the temperature.
Yeah, it's an old mechanical diesel, isn't it? And it's very similar to, I remember my old Audi was very similar, and a couple of old Golfs that I had, where they just didn't really sort of feel like they got a temperature. In fact, it used to be back in the day, you used to have to do half the carboard on the radiator, so you could really get, obviously, some warmth in the cabin, so to speak, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, a 6-mile journey to work, and it never came off cold during the winter. So, and it's not good for the engine just not to get to room temperature. But the V8, otherwise, you did 1.5 miles and it was at room temperature.
Yeah.
But the power of the V8 and the noise of the V8, it does get a hold of you.
Shall we have a little listen to the noise? Obviously, we've had a little listen to the lovely DT, obviously custom exhaust on this one and custom exhaust on that one. Such a lovely engine, this really is a lovely engine. And again, this is on air suspension as well, so this is factory air suspension on this. We had a comment in, I think, the last video about this, and I think somebody said, you dare take the air suspension off that, so I thought I best keep it on, because I don't want to get lynched by the P38 purists. But you know what it is, absolutely cracking car. Very happy we saved this one. If you haven't already seen the video, please shoot over to the video about the £100 P38 4.6, because we've gone through what it's cost us, and obviously, you know, you yourself can also save a P38, because they are an absolutely cracking car and a modern classic that you can usually drive, I'd say daily if you've got a 2.5, or you know, if you want to like a nice weekend toy, a 4.6 is where it's at.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think that is pretty much the difference between 4.6 ownership and 2.5 DT or 2.5 turbo diesel ownership. Like I said, both these cars are beautiful, both these cars are amazing, and I'm not going to lie, I'll always have a P38 in my collection. I think you always have a P38 in yours. Yeah, because they are just built different. I know a lot of people say, why do you like P38 so much? And I always say to them, the build quality on the P38 versus any other Land Rover of that time period, keep in mind 94 to 2001, these just age better, less corrosion. Yes, there is a little bit of corrosion, aluminium oxidization on a couple of bits and bobs, but you know what it is, these tend not to need welding as much as like an old Discovery or an old Defender, or you know, even a classic Range Rover. They rot like hell, and obviously flaws and sills, and with these they tend not to rot as bad. and I just, you know, they're just so cheap to pick up now, and they're still quite cheap. I mean, they're starting to go up in value. Yeah, they're starting to go up in value, aren't they, a little bit? But like, even to maintain them, I mean, like I said, I think on the P38 £100 video, we said it was £169 for 4 shock absorbers and a steering damper, and that there is just mental, because I come from a world where I can say to somebody, you need shock absorbers on your car, and it's 800 to like £1,500 just for a set of shock absorbers. And you know what it is, it's just, these are just a lovely car to drive, they're a lovely car to own, aren't they?
Yeah, and parts of you can get them anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, as a main company, Brit Parts, you can get any parts for any P38 or Land Rover, and they're really cheap too.
Yeah.
So I would definitely consider owning a P38. But if you've got any questions, please drop us a PM or a comment on the page, and I can answer your questions as much and as helpful as I can. Plus, in the future, there may be more P38s coming up for sale.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So please, everybody, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you later, folks. Cheers now. Bye bye.